What's going on, everyone? It's your Roy Phil Shock and the Nicely Tedro back with another draft analysis. And before everyone gets on me, yes, I know I said technically the JDDL would probably be the last one we upload, but this is an opportunity to make a name for ourselves in a new league that's been resurfaced and stuff, and it's hosted by two amazing guys in It's Curt, or Curt the Buzzballs, like you call him, and it's Danny Mac. I'll put a link to both their channels in the description as they are the owners and the founders of this league. I do want to thank Danny and Curt for allowing me to participate this season. I'm definitely very grateful for the opportunity, and I'm definitely looking forward to using this. Probably one of my most powerful teams, just because I have a lot of power on this draft. In my personal opinion, I think some people would probably maybe disagree, but if you want to disagree, that's fine. If you want to agree, then okay, let's agree. But we are here for the UNPL, but we are here for the D League, which I think is in its second or third season. I don't remember. Their D League is actually a showdown-based division, and I got invited, and we're a part of it. This is gonna probably be one of my. This I think I'm going to guarantee promise. Oh, there's actually one more league, but that league probably won't be happening until the Indigo disc drops and such. So I would say then technically for now, this plus the JGDL will be the last uploaded leagues that we're gonna do on the channel. I'm going to do that until the one league side project comes up, which I'll explain once we get to it. But with that, we're going to talk about the UNPL. So UNPL basically did the same kind of rule set and stuff like that they're doing for their main season. They did bump up some Pokemon up and some Pokemon down in terms of pricing. We have 115 points to draft at least 10 to 12 Pokemon on our draft, and we are given an 18-point Terra budget where we can only pick mons from 12 and under to Terra. And you are having to Terra your main one of if you're a dual type, you have to pick one of your main types as your stab type, and then you get two Terra types of any choice you want. So, with that being said, let's talk about our draft. So I was the sixth pick in the draft, and it was both good and bad. It just meant that I wasn't going to get guaranteed things I wanted. The main three Pokemon I wanted, because I wasn't going to think one Pokemon was going to make it to me, was Chien-Pao, Palafin, and Blood Moon Ursaluna. And by the time it got to me, two of those Pokemon made it back to me. But surprisingly, at pick six, I was basically around the middle of the draft. And luckily, it's only 12 coaches, so middle pick's not the worst thing. It's still not the greatest, but it's not the worst. But with the sixth pick in the first round, I do not kid you, I got Darkrai. And the fact that, for one, it's being allowed, people are want to test with it. And to be honest, it's probably going to be the only time I'm ever going to chance to use Darkrai in draft league. It's not Uber's. So, you know what? I'm taking my opportunity, and I am going with it. But Darkrai for me it's one of my most underrated favorite dark types in Pokemon. It's one of my probably top 5 favorite dark types. I just love the design of this Pokemon. And also he comes from Gen 4. I know, Gen 4 fanboy. Yep, I know. But I love Darkrai for what it is, man. Darkrai is just so disgusting, man. Darkrai actually has decent physical attack, which can make use of its physical attack because it does get access to things like Swords Dance, which is pretty cool. I don't know why I'm clicking random buttons here. But we also get access to Nasty Plot. Hold on. I'm clicking the wrong booms. There we go. Nasty Plot, Calm Mind. Base 135 is so disgusting to switch into. This thing can easily run a Specs every single week. This thing can run Choice Scarf every week to outspeed certain speed tiers. It is good, amazing coverage. The only bad thing I would say about it is it doesn't have the best fire coverage. Like, the best fire move it is going to get is these two. Oh, wow, it lost Incinerate. Damn. Incinerate was the only good fire type move it actually has. So it has no fire type moves now. But overall, I love Darkrai, and I'm not going to lie to you, if this was not around, I was going to 100% grab Blood Moon. I think I was going to decide over Blood Moon or over Palafin, just because Blood Moon's the new toy, and I would love to try out the new toy. But the fact that Darkrai made it to me, I was not passing up Darkrai. There was no way I was passing up Darkrai. Darkrai is amazing, and I think we actually came up with a pretty cool name that I did find. I did look up some names that were pretty cool. So whoever came up with the idea of Silhouette, shoutouts to you. I also think Silhouette fits this thing. So it's because it's the silhouette of a shadow itself. It's the silhouette in dreams and nightmares and stuff. Like, oh, it's just a cool cool one, man. I love that name. So I'm really actually happy that we were able to get Darkrai. And I'm hoping I can do Darkrai justice. I need to get at least, I would say if I can get at least 10 kills with Darkrai, I would say I'm a good Darkrai user. If I can't get at least close to, if not 10, I think Darkrai is not mine. But we're gonna have fun with Darkrai this season. So coming up with the second overall pick, I wanted to get something that paired beautiful with Darkrai. Because one of the biggest things Darkrai is going to deal with is probably some like priority bug moves and bug types in general, and also fighting types when priority fighting moves and such. And I really needed some really good fighting counterplay, and I think I grabbed one of the best counters to fighting types and one of the best counters to a lot of Pokemon teams by itself. That was my boy, Cranky Kong, the Annihilate. We're gonna kind of see why I'm naming him Cranky over my normal name, which would be Undertaker. But Cranky Kong here, my Annihilate. I cannot believe this made it back to me. I felt like it was a little early to grab it, but I felt like at the same time it sounds really fun because Annihilate, in my opinion, is definitely if you have Terra allowed a round 1/2 Pokemon. If you don't have Terra, it's probably a 2 at the latest, probably a round 3 mon. But I love Annihilate. The one thing about Annihilate I want to say that I love the most about this Pokemon, I literally just love building the defenses of this Pokemon. I literally can use Annihilate relatively well, but I actually don't care if I use it well. I love just customizing the defenses, the EV spreads, and the IVs and stuff. Like I love messing around with my boy Annihilate here. He is such a good Pokemon. I love this thing so much. First time I ever got to properly use it, we did decently well. Didn't get a crazy amount of kills or a lot of great autos, but it was an amazing Pokemon. Absolutely love Annihilate, and I am very excited to use it. This is my second time using Annihilate, so I'm very, very, very happy to get this thing. So now looking at my team, I really need to get some bulk that's not just Annihilate. I need to get a really good bulky water, but can also play offensive. I also need to get something that can really help us take some fairy type hits potentially. But more importantly, I need something that's going to help us deal with potential Willow Whispers / fire types as well. But overall, I think just more bulk was really good. And that's where, yes, we picked up round 3 Manaphy. Round 3. Now, I want to say this right now. In another league that I'm doing that's a Wi-Fi league, so I don't upload those, unfortunately. But one day we will get Wi-Fi content. I was playing with a Manaphy, and in just 3 weeks with playing with this Manaphy, I've gotten 10 kills. And in week 2, it got all 6. Even though I don't know how I was able to get to +6 on my Manaphy with Tail Glow. I'm broken with Manaphy. Manaphy is like my favorite bulky water to play with. It's like probably my favorite water type in draft that's not named Dracovish. This Pokemon's insanely broken. Access to new move that I got from Legends Arceus in Take Card, which Take Card's gonna only be its niche. I don't think it's gonna be a big staple on it because nothing's being the staple that is Tail Glow. Like, are you really gonna beat the staple as this thing? And what I've actually come to really love about Manaphy is I love building this thing super defensive with Tail Glow support, and then just clicking buttons, man. This thing has been able to take hits that it would just probably never ever take hits if I didn't invest to it properly. And this Mon does not die. Flip turn for momentum, which I believe it gets access to as well. Flip turn for momentum is really good, along with the U-turn. From that, I believe Darkrai also gets U-turn, if I am correct. No, he does not. Does he get Baton Pass? He does not get Baton Pass. Does he get Healing Wish? For some stupid reason, he does not get Healing Wish. He gets Dark Void, though. It's funny. But I love Manaphy. We're naming him King because he's the king of the sea. I originally just named him Ocean, but after my work I've done with him in my other league, he's king right now. He's king, man. I love it. Manaphy, awesome Pokemon. I love it. So right now, I really have in terms of hazards, I only have a rocker, but it's gonna be a rocker I'm probably never bringing, to be honest. So I really need to get a mon that has at least some hazards, but I also need that support for not only Darkrai and Manaphy for setting up, but also for Annihilate to just go batshit crazy. And that's where my girl Boo Boo Keys comes into play. Now I will say in not LDL, in the PAC, the Pack All Stars League, that's run by Spenfun, that you guys have seen many people like Sven, OG Albina, and just so many other talented players play in. I was in their season 1 of No Terra, and this was on my team, and we made it to finals with this thing. And I want to say right now, I was always a Klefki hater. I hated Klefki, and I think it was a dumb Pokemon. It was a waste of a Fairy type, a waste of a Steel type, and I just felt like it was not a good Pokemon. After using it and seeing how people have actually used it in other leagues, I have actually changed my opinion on this, and I actually think it's a good, valuable Steel type. I think it's a good, valuable Fairy type, and it has some really good support options in Thunder Wave, Screens, Magnet Rise. It is such a good Pokemon. I have actually learned to respect and like Klefki now, which I think is really, really nice. And it was one of the best steals that were left on the board, I think, as well. Because there was, I think, some other like steals that just were offensive steals that were weak to fairy, and I think I really need to get a steel type that was not going to be weak to fairy, but also can kind of help counteract some things right there. So right now, though, Klefki fits perfectly like I want it, and I think it's going to be interesting to pair with Annihilate. I loved Grimmsnarl when I paired it with Annihilate, but it really worked well. So I think Klefki will do a little bit better, but let's see how that goes. So going into round 5, I wanted an actual fairy type, and I really need something for fighting types now, because fighting types are super threatening against my team. I need to fight and resist, and I also need to pick up a very good Spadef wall. Right now, I can make Manaphy physically defensive, and make some of my other future Pokemon more physically defensive, so I need a guaranteed Spadef wall. And that is where my girl Florges, aka Blossom, is coming in here. And we're going to rock out with the blue one, because I think the blue one probably looks the best. But I know keeping it red makes it fit. Or then we'll name. If I have to name it Bubbles, then I'll name it Bubbles. Then okay. But you guys are gonna. But this is gonna be one of my 3 Terra captains. I have actually been dying to use Terra Florges for so long. Ever since I knew this thing could get Terra Blast and it became a Terra value Pokemon, I wanted to use Terra Florges so much. The reason why I'm so hyped about Terra Florges is because now Florges can beat its counters, which it could never do ever since it lost Hidden Power. But with Terra Blast, which is stronger Hidden Power, if I'm remembering correctly now, I could be wrong, but also changing the type. Florges is such an essential piece to this team that it's really, really good. And the Terra types that I decided to go with was obviously Fairy because I had to, but never see me run Fairy unless I see a really good Fairy matchup. But the main 2 I went with, and I might change one of them in the future. We'll just have to see where it goes. And what's really cool is that with these transactions we make, we get 5 during the regular season, but we also get 2 Terra transactions. So basically, if you're changing Terras on your Pokemon, that is one transaction. So if I want to change the entirety of my types, that counts as one transaction. But if I just change one and say I'm good, then that also counts as one. So basically, if I want to change this thing from, like, say, example, I have it as a steel type. I know I change it to fire, that will count one transaction, and I still have one more to do with my Terra type. Which I think is a really good way to work with Terra. That way it's not going to your actual free like transactions that you have. I actually like the fact there's a Terra transaction side towards it. So that's a really genius idea by Curt and Danny. Amazing idea. But the Terra types I went with this Pokemon is going to be Fairy, Ground, and Water. I might change Water to Fire. I think Fire actually would be a little bit better. But for right now, I'm going to go with Water. I think Water's a good defensive typing, where Fire can also play a little bit offensive, but also defensive at the same time. But I think Florges is gonna be amazing. I'm so excited to use Florges. Florges is also not that slow, so don't sleep on the great offense that Florges does have. It also has really good special attack, which I think is also amazing. But this Pokemon, I am so excited, man. This is gonna be one of my favorite mons to use this season. I cannot wait to use it. Coming up next with this, I really need to get a ground resist for the team right now because I don't really switch into ground. They really don't have anything for ground types. So I really need to start patching up that ground weakness, and I also need to start picking up essential typings that I don't have yet. And in grass, I felt like it was a really good typing because again, it counters a couple of good things. Like it counters some of the 2 main typings you see in the game, which is electric and ground. And I felt like the best Pokemon to do that was Rillaboom, aka Donkey Kong. Now, Rillaboom got access back to not only its Grassy Surge, but also back to Grassy Glide, which is, I believe, 20 points or 10 points now weaker than it originally was, but it's still a Rillaboom with 125 attack stat with that thing. You really think Rillaboom cares. It did also give us a decent enough speed tier at about 85, which is also really nice, which is really kind of mashing up well with the speed tiers we have going through. And I felt like Rillaboom's Grassy Surge actually provides a lot of cool utility for my team in terms of stuff like Grassy Seed, in terms of stuff like Burden Sweepers that we could pick up. Believe it or not, Sneasler was actually still on the board by the time it was coming around after I picked up this thing. And I think Sneasler is actually still on the board, and I am almost tempted to go get that thing. I'm not gonna lie to you. But you're gonna see why I didn't go for it with my next couple of picks here, and I'll describe why. But Rillaboom, fantastic Pokemon. I have never used Rillaboom, and the only time I ever did is when we did that rain team for RGBL. But I really didn't bring Rillaboom all that much, and Rillaboom was kind of one of those Pokemon I drafted just because it's one of the best counter to rain teams. So I drafted it for that reason there. But Rillaboom, in my personal opinion, is a Pokemon I am so undiscovered with. I don't know really much about Rillaboom at all. I barely have ever tried Rillaboom. And I think times I do try to use Rillaboom, he's just taken from me. So, really excited for my first real go around with Rillaboom in Gen 9. I hope he's going to do really well for us, and I think he's going to do decently well. So, hopefully that goes well for us. So going up next, again, picking up on that ground weakness theme, I got to pick up another ground resist, but I also really need to get some hazard removal right now, especially since I don't have much hazards to give besides spikes. So I really needed that removal option, and I want to at least have that option. And that's why I grabbed Braviary. First off, Hisuian Braviary was a Pokemon I've never even had a chance to use yet, which I think is really unique. It's a Pokemon that, because I've always been trying to use all of the new Pokemon I've ever had, I've never once had an opportunity to try Braviary. And every time I think I have, I've just been going over better options and not duplicating too many typings. And the finally chance to use this boy is gonna be really awesome. What makes Pursuing Bravery really great is Life Force, obviously Life Force, Sheer Force sets, which are like things like Hurricane, um, Esper Wing, Heat Wave, a lot of Psychic, a lot of cool tech items like that. But one of the other cool things about this thing, and it's one of the reasons I also like to draft it for, was Tinted Lens. Now, we've actually seen that Tinted Lens proves that it has no switchings once things get going for it. And what's also cool about Esper Wing, if you guys don't know, it actually will guarantee hit our speed ratio and has a high crit ratio, which is really, really cool. I think on some sets that don't really switch into fighting types, you only have like one resist, it's not dark. Like for example, like you only have a steel type as your resist. This thing's clicking buttons and it's going to get some KOs. This thing's decently bulky. It's not the world's greatest bulky thing, but again, one of the main things I wanted it for was that defog support, which I think is really important for it as well. But I'm very excited for Braviary. I'm very excited to try this. And look at the shiny. It's one of the sickest shinies in the entire game. It is so good. Black shinies just know how to do them right, baby. Going into the next round, this being round 8, I'm pretty sure, we actually picked up Diddy Kong, aka Graphia, and the Graphia is actually my second Terra Cat that I went with. Let's talk about it a little bit, and then I'll go into the Terra types. First off, I really needed another Fairy switch in, and I also needed a Ghost switching. Ghost destroys me. I cannot rely on Darkrai to be my main Ghost answer every single time. Now, Graphia is almost kind of forced to bring if there's such a good Ghost type in this matchups and stuff like that. But if I feel like those Ghost types can counteract with a couple of typings on my team that I could beat with, then it'd be really good as well. But overall, what I like about Graphia, I've actually used Graphia one time, and I didn't really use it at all until like the last week or two, and then playoffs. It was a freaking beast. It was like one of the MVPs in that playoff run for that league I was in, and it actually was almost on a championship team until I misclicked and choked. Okay, sorry, man. Flashback. Sorry. Graphite is amazing, and one of the reasons again why I picked it up was again of Burden plus Prankster. I think Prankster is really good in some matches to where if it's more so going to be used for its utility in Parting Shot, Encore, stuff like that. Also, because it's a Super Fang knockoff, super good utility moves and stuff like that for it. But again, one of the reasons I drafted was because I'm Burden, and I also went with my Terra Captain options. So I decided to go with normal, and I think normal you may think is a bit of a stretch there to go for, but normal works out for a couple of things. It works out for a cool Unburdened fake out set to where it's normal gem plus the Terra boost of normal and going for the flinch to get Unburdened into any other move I want to is really great. I went with Terra Dark because here's the reason why I went Terra Dark. Terra Dark was specifically only on there to help us deal with ghost types, but more importantly, it was there to block Prankster users. That way, Prankster users, which I don't think there's that many Prankster users left now, because they drive two of them. But shutting down a prankster user that can try to thunder wave you is really, really good. Shutting that option down really helps out a Pokemon like Grafie because it doesn't prevent itself. Like it can't be taunted, it can't be thunder wave, it can't be will-o-wisp, and stuff like that. You know what I mean? It's a really good idea. And again, The last Terra type I went was flying, and that's mostly because of acrobatics. That move will just have literally just have no switch-ins. I believe it does get access to. I don't remember what ground stab you get to. You get dig much shot in that, and dig actually gets hurt by the terrain. But I hope there's not gonna be instances that we don't have to. Also, I did find this out, guys. Ground Terra Blast does not get affected by electric terrain. I mean, like psychic, grassy terrain. But I think it's only for special types. If it's physical, I think it will affect it. But if it's special, actually no wait, because it's actually returns a special type attack. Who knows anymore? But Grafai is gonna be really cool. I actually really excited to try Grafai. It's gonna be my second time using it, so it's gonna be awesome. And speaking of second time using Pokemon, remember the JGDL season 1 where we had this boy? He only came to like 1 or 2 games and did a little bit of work. He's back, baby, but this time he's more decked out and improved than ever. He's a Terra captain this season. My boy Jack, aka Jack Frost here, another good Spadef Pokemon, but again has utility options now with things like Access Arbor and Recovery, which is really good about it now. And we went with Terra Ice, Terra Electric, and Terra Ground. I felt like Ground was really cool because it did invite the Mons that can beat this thing, but we can beat them with our coverage, which I think is really cool. I mean, Electric, there's no reason why I should really say why because it's good offensive and a little bit of a defensive Terra type as well. But overall, Cryogonal is super good. Again, a base 105 speed tier, which I think we needed a little bit more speed on this team just because we didn't have any much speed that wasn't just, Grafai, Manaphy, and Darkrai. I think we really kind of balanced up the speed tiers a bit now because of that, and I overall felt really excited about that. I'm super excited to try Terra Cryogonal. It's another one of those Terramons I've been really itching to try, and hopefully we have a good time with it. It's gonna be a really cool Pokemon. Now, I did not have an electric type, a ground type, and I wanted to prioritize in my next 2 picks here. I actually decided to go with my boy Wormy, aka Electros here. First off, I love Electros. I think it's an underrated electric type. I don't think a lot of people give this one a lot of credit and respect that it does deserve. This Pokemon can claim KOs. What's really cool about this thing is that if it wants to go special, it can literally do this Coil Thunder. Like, you can literally run Coil to bait that you're physical and then spam Thunders. Because then Thunders jumps up to, I believe, around like an 80 some percent accuracy after a 1 Coil, which I think is nutty stupid, which is really cool. And if you add Violence to that thing, it's about then a 90 some percent. So you basically have like less than 10% chance to miss Thunders with this thing. That is insane. But it's also a really good physical breaker because it does get access to a lot of cool moves right there. Oh, one real quick about Jack. He gave us a rapid spinner, so now we have 2 form of hazard removal, which is really good for our team. Sorry about that. I just realized that was going to be one thing I was going to talk about. But access things like bulk up, coil, close combat, drain punch, fire punch, ice punch, knockoff. Okay, no ice punch apparently. Why give it elemental punches if it's access to liquidation now, which I don't think it already had beforehand, which can actually help with grounds. It's not Giga Drain, which I think is really cool. Overall, Electros is amazing. I'm very excited. It's been a really long time since I've used this Pokemon, so I'm very excited to use this thing. One of our last 2 picks, honestly, the last main pick I picked up was Sandaconda. It's a decent ground type. It gave me that physically defensive one that I did not really have besides Manaphy in some way. But this gave me a definitive physically defensive mon that I wanted to check in. It's another coil user. It's another stealth rocker, a reliable stealth rocker. Access to Shed Skin, which is really, really cool. And also Sand Spit, which can actually be a decent ability in some situations that if I run my mons with Terra, and there's also mons I don't care are under this like things like that. Like for example, if I go Terra Ground with my Cryogonal or my Florges, they can actually not get hit by the sandstorm damage, and they can actually be able to really put in the work against teams, getting that extra chip damage. So there's a little niche. Also, this is actually decently good offensive as well. It actually has a decent speed tier, but it's not gonna really. It's more of a Pokemon that takes advantage of bulk speed versus offensive speed. But very excited for my boy Python here, and it's really good. And our last pick with 1 point left, I just grabbed a Banette. Honestly, I don't know why I grabbed this thing. It's kind of a dumb Pokemon. But I mean, Poltergeist, Shadow Sneak. Let me click the right buttons. I mean, it's something. I mean, it's giving me Frisk, which is not bad. But I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I'm probably never bringing this Pokemon unless I see my opponent has really bad Ghost matchups. But probably never expect this Pokemon to come. It's a bad Pokemon. But if it comes, then you know what? It proves itself to be good. But yeah, that's gonna be the team, guys. I'm gonna quickly show you guys the team off real quick again. Let me know in the comment section below who is your favorite team member of the team. I think honestly, I have a lot of favorites here. Obviously, the Florges is probably my favorite Terra captain. We're gonna go with Manaphy, obviously. annihilate, and of course, Silhouette, my Darkrai. I'm so excited for this team, and I'm ready to go 0-10 or 0-9. How many weeks is going? I'm gonna lose and do bad, but we're gonna have a good time. But I'm hoping to just do my best, do a really good job with this team, and have some fun. But yeah, thank you all so much for watching. I'm sorry the video went a little longer, but I want to go a little more detail with some of the reasons I like these picks. Sorry, I'm stumbling my words. A little bit more of why I wanted certain things when I did. Again, being in the middle was a little rough, but I think I walked away with a really good team. I think this team's honestly like a 7, maybe 8 out of 10 team. I think I could have improved on a few more picks and some stuff. But overall, I think it's a really good team. It's not too crazy. It's not too bad. It's just perfect in some way. But I'm super excited for it. But if you guys are excited, leave a like if you haven't already. Subscribe if you are new. Let's try to get to 75 before the end of the year. Come on, baby. Let's do it. But with that being said, thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you guys in week 1. Until next time, I'll see you guys later. Peace.